if there was a place, a virtual place, that you could access from your phone or laptop, which was like the coolest lounge or cafe you've ever been in, like your own private club, a 360-degree immersive environment with a super rockin' band, playing cool jazz and smoking R&B, with the coolest, friendliest hosts and mixologists, and all kinds of intriguing and interesting guests dropping by and sharing their lives and exchanging amazing stories, where you could hook up with potential dates in a virtual social environment, or make new friends, or even business network. What if there were such a place? Now there is, thanks to our super cool futuristic technology, Shindig 66.
So here we are with our second Player Space podcast. I'm Jim Fox, aka Master Jim, aka sometimes Master James Mace. And I'm here with Chris Andrews, aka Christopher Robin.
The real Christopher Robin.
The real Christopher Robin. Do you have any other AKAs you'd like to tell us about?
Not that I can share publicly.
Great. Well, so let's get into it and let's talk about what we're wearing first and foremost, because this is about style. I upped my game a little bit with an actual collared shirt. This is a reversible collared shirt, so I went with kind of the less the stripy thing. And actually, it seems to work okay right now on the video. Having a degree in broadcasting, I should know what looks good and what doesn't on me on video. And you have upped your game yet again, Chris, with your suit, and you even have an accessory today. Would you like to tell us about your accessory?
This is a pipe that I bought on eBay. I paid way too much for it. They claim that it's Hugh Hefner's pipe. I don't believe them, but I bought it anyway.
Well, there you go.
And you know, again, this Hefner is interesting because he realized very early on that using an accessory like a pipe would set him apart from other folks. And I don't think he was really into smoking the pipe. It was just something he could hold and play with and stick in his mouth. And I actually, I think I cited this to you earlier, the painting by Magritte.
Yes.
Who's a famous surrealist painter in the early part of the 20th century, who made this painting, This Is Not a Pipe. And I actually am going to do some research and find out if Hefner, who was really up on the art world and knew about all this kind of stuff, actually wasn't in some ways referring to that idea of like, the thing that you represent is not really the thing. It's something else. It's the representation of the thing. So there's this kind of meta-narrative, which actually is, I think is worth an essay in Player about This Is Not a Pipe. This is
I like that.
Because I guess the illusion is the pipe in a way is a kind of a phallic symbol. It's the penis.
Right. And you're putting it in your mouth, and you know what? I'm just going to leave it at that. You do you.
By the way,
we exploit
Jim,
everyone equally here.
I have never put a penis in my mouth.
Okay, well,
even my own. Although I did try with my own.
Life is, it's short. You can.
When I was younger, I could almost get my own penis in my mouth, but now I can't do that anymore.
That was Ron Jeremy's shtick. Other than having an exceptionally large one, I guess he could actually do that. But we're not going to go there in this particular. I think we're going to take a little. We're starting to go down this path, and let's just kind of like keep it on point here.
Okay. Keep it G-rated.
Keep it G-rated, but I would say you got to keep your options open, and in this day and age, and you never know is I think my point of the whole thing. But I wanted to. We have a theme in our second go at this. And that theme is what, Chris?
It's the second act of our lives.
The second act of our lives. And I originally had called it something else, But I like the second act, so that's good. Usually now plays and plays are usually in 2 acts. Rarely, you sometimes have a third act, but screenplays are usually in 3 acts. Are they not?
Yeah, I mean, the tripartite structure, the three-part structure is classic in narrative and in all art. I mean, the beginning, middle, end. I mean, just to summarize it. But you're right. In modern playwriting, typically plays are in 2 acts, and the second act also refers to a quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald, who famously said, "There are no second acts in American life." And his argument was that the obsession with youth precluded the idea that there could be a second act. There was only a first act and a flame out in the first act. And I think that is very endemic of our culture. And
Right.
It's something that I think we want to really propose there's an alternative to.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the reason why we came up with this topic was I've recently gotten involved in a text string with some buddies from high school, thanks to modern technology. And I would say, so there's 4 of us that are on this string, and we're communicating almost every day now. Some more than others. They kind of give me a hard time because I'm not much of a communicator in the evening. But I wake up to a bunch of messages in the morning and catch up. But I think the theme is, we're kind of talking about the good old days, and each one is in kind of a different transition in their life. And of course, with what's going on today, which is August 26th, we're in California and we're still pretty much in lockdown. And so being able to interact with people in real time is still a issue. Although I think you got to work your eye contact game. That's really important. Your mask and eye contact game, I would say, is much more important now than ever, right? But so I'm struggling a little bit. I want to give these guys some advice and talk about what maybe some things you can do to enjoy your second act in life. And so I think we're going to take it from there because we're both made a decision, not to just go with the first act. I never actually embraced the first act, which would be to marry, settle down, and get kids. I think you did a little bit, but let's talk about that.
Well, I think it's really a great topic, Jim, and so thanks so much for really distilling that. I had a really incredible first act. I have to tell you. In fact, when I tell people about my young life, they're like, "Really? You did all that?" But I did burn out at the end. I mean, we know the story of alcoholism, drug addiction, sex and love addiction. It all came to a head when I was pretty much 30 years old, and then I spent the next couple of decades really kind of reassembling myself. And I have to say, I think I prospered in that time too. And then most recently, as you know, my marriage fell apart, and I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, I actually think the arc of that is kind of inevitable, unless you're extremely blessed with a partner and also with some kind of self containment where you can weather the inevitable demise of intimate relationships through economic hardship, through child rearing, through boredom and all those things. And as you know, my ex and I are still have a very good relationship. It's just not marriage anymore. So through all of those things, I've come to this new place. And at first, I thought the new place when my ex said to me, this isn't going to work. All the therapy, all the group therapy, all the individual therapy, all of the recovery is just not, I'm done, she said to me. And I, of course, I'm a glasses half full kind of guy. So I was like, what do you mean you're done? There must be something else we can do. And she said, nope, it's over. And I had a crisis, kind of midnight, 3 a.m. crisis of the soul of like, oh my God, here I am, into my 6th decade of my life. And how am I going to meet, somebody else who is like on the same level as all these other women I've been with when I was younger? Because I'm not as beautiful and dynamic as I was then. And, I'm also kind of tired of like that whole routine of like trying to meet somebody and go through all that. And I just really had a crisis of the soul. And then I found something I had never knew existed, which conventionally is called the pickup community online on YouTube and stuff. And I saw all these mostly young guys much younger than me, who were like finding new ways to interact with women and finding a sort of a methodology to all of that. And a lot of it is kind of repulsive and awful, but a lot of it also just speaks to basic biological needs and differences between the sexes. And so I wanted to take what was positive about that and also, get rid of all the stuff that was negative about it and see, is there any way at my age that stuff can be useful to me? And then I found a coach who actually I really appealed to me, because he basically argued that the real basis of attraction between men and women is fun and play, and that can include sex, it can include intellectual pursuits, it can include cultural pursuits, it can include social pursuits, but that's really the basis of it. Both men and women are looking for fun. And how you find that is by being fun yourself. And that kind of really clicked with me, because I think actually at my base, I am kind of a fun guy. And I had to get back in touch with that part of myself. And
Right.
That's been a journey that I've been in over the last year, and it's been absolutely transformative.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something I think we need to remind ourselves, especially now, is we have to have fun, because if we're serious all the time, then we really get stuck in a rut. And you also brought up something I really think is important too, and that is kind of the health aspect of, we're all conditioned to understand that our bodies fall apart, after a certain age, and to a certain it is true. That does happen, but that doesn't mean you have to stop taking care of yourself. And for me, that's really important. It's been quite a challenge now, because here we are. You can't go to the gym anymore, and to me, the gym was very social. And even if you didn't have conversations with people, you'd see the same people over and over again, working to improve themselves. And so that's kind of gone away, and it's found a little bit of an online community there, but you have to. It takes a lot more work. But the point being is, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and especially as we get into the fall now, of people really just like, okay, I'm going to hunker down with my bottle of wine or something, and not get out there and try and improve myself, and not get out there and try to have fun, and be active and be engaging with other people. So I guess my question is, and that's my commentary. My question is like, so how do we do that now? How do we start engagements which could lead for fun, and how do we make even engaging fun?
Well, that's a great question, and that's what we're all struggling with. And I think the first thing is to recognize that the asking of that question is really critical. How do we adapt to the changing circumstances of our lives, the changing circumstances in the world, and really get to still have fulfilling lives, and not only for ourselves, but how do we create fulfilling lives for others? Because that's a leverage. Once you start to do that, once you start to be the fun guy, people are attracted to you because everybody is looking for fun. So if you're having fun, people want to be around you. So it geometrically reinforces itself. So it's not just about me having fun, it's about me creating fun for other people. And then all of a sudden people want to be around me. I just want to give a quick example that ties into something that you just mentioned about exercise and health and like how difficult it is to socialize and stuff. This morning, before our podcast, I got dressed up and I took a walk around my neighborhood. I said hello to almost every person I came across. And I had some really good conversations with people. I mean, not long conversations, but, you know, brief exchanges. Again, wearing a mask. So it's all about the eyes and my voice. And what's interesting is everyone who I talked to on the street commented on the way I was dressed. They go, wow, you're really dressed beautifully today. So just by me dressing nicely, I'm attracting people.
Right. So what, sorry to cut you off, but I have to ask, I mean, what was your mask like? What mask goes with that suit? I mean, it's.
Oh, I have a gray mask, which matches the gray of this jacket.
Gotcha.
And which my business partner, my day job, actually made for me. She did a beautiful job of making this mask for me, and it matches perfectly this jacket. I mean, not on purpose. It's just an accident.
Right.
And then also I have some really nice mirrored sunglasses. So I kind of look like it's a kind of a costume. And so I think that's part of what we have to be cognizant of is when we go out into the world, because we can't show our faces, you know, the part of our faces that's really expressive, our mouth and all that part of ourselves, that we have to hack that. We have to find a new way to be attractive and appealing to people. I mean, the other thing, some other hacks. You know, Jim, you know, I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'4" tall. So already people are looking at me. Recently, I got a pair of boots that add another 2 inches to my height. Usually I would not wear something like that, but I decided that it's even more impressive to be 6'6" tall, you know. And I noticed that women look at me even more than they normally would look at me because I'm even taller. I used to think that this idea that women are interested in tall men is nonsense, but it actually just proved it. The taller you are, the more women are going to look at you. So I would encourage everybody, get some heels. I'm talking about men. Get some heels. Make yourself as tall as you can. Put some beautiful clothes. Make sure your mask and your wear, again, I have these really nice mirrored sunglasses, is all on point. Go out into the world. Take a walk every day around your neighborhood. If your neighborhood is not conducive to walking, find one near you that is. Jim, you live in a great neighborhood for that, Hayes Valley. Hayes Valley is even better. You could be able to, you should, and I know you do that. You walk down to Patricia's Green, you walk around there, you say hello to folks, you know, with your eyes, you smile with your eyes. Women, I've noticed because of the social distancing we're doing, women are even more willing to look at guys in the face now.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know if you found that.
I haven't found that, but, you know, I would say San Francisco has always been a tougher city to, you know, I think you lived in San Francisco for quite a few years. And for whatever reason, I think San Franciscans are very standoffish. And, you know, I think they wanted to have kind of a full rundown of who you were for whatever reason before they engage. Whereas I've found in other cities, and I have found Oakland much more open and much more kind of relaxed with people engaging each other. And even New York, I found is much more open than San Francisco. I think San Francisco, you have to work a little harder. It's not impossible, but you definitely have to work a little harder to kind of, get people to let their guard down.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I just want to, because we're talking, you said our audience might be some of these folks who are in similar situations to us. I just want to encourage folks to what I'm doing and what my coach has taught me to do is look at the scenario that you're in, figure out how you can work within that scenario. Every city has a different culture of how it operates. If I was in San Francisco, maybe what I'm doing would not be effective. I would have to experiment and see other ways of doing that. Right. Yes, absolutely. If you can put yourself in a fish pond which has more vitality and is easier to work in, by means do that. But if you can't do that, figure out a way to work in the pond that you're operating in. There's always a way.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's all kind of an experiment too. And if you look at it as an experiment, it really takes the pressure off. And you're right, they are kind of spread out. One's Northern California, one's Southern California, and one's Arizona. And, different dynamics for all. But I think, it's somebody told me this last week. I mean, we all really want to connect on some level. I mean, there's a lot of things. I've personally I have doing a detox from social media because it's become so toxic, and I won't even go for the different reasons, but it's really what was kind of a good thing in bringing people together, especially people who, were went to high school or college or had some kind of event where they would be interpersonal. Bringing back together has now become the exact opposite. It's just become a platform for opinions and shaming, and I think I'm as guilty as the next person is doing that. But I had a point to this. I can't remember my point now. I think but really the point is the connection. The connection. We are actually been conditioned through social distancing to stay at home, wear a mask, do not connect with other people. And while I'm not going to get on the side of, what the precautions, I do wear a mask. I do. I'm lucky enough not to be in an apartment building or somewhere where people are on top of each other. I'm kind of a freestanding home where I live and have some space. But the connection part it's really super important for us humans to continue to connect and not kind of give in to the dark side of technology, even though we're using this, we're doing a podcast, we're doing this over Zoom. I'm going to put it out over different social media platforms. I'm still using that. But I think what I'm saying is don't let the technology isolate you. So you're not, and what we're really saying is kind of get out, put the phone down, put the computer away, get out and connect with people in your community.
Yeah.
However
absolutely.
you do that now.
No, you got to start where you are. You have to, we all want this ideal world that like has everything we want, all laid out. Kind of people you surround yourself with, really look at those things and say, how can I start with that and leverage that to get to where I want to be? And, it's not going to be a straight line. It's because where we want to be changes at the same time that where we are changes. It's all changing. It's all dynamic. I moved to this neighborhood that I'm in now because I thought it was a really super active, super lively neighborhood. And then COVID hit and, everything has changed. But I'm not complaining about it. I'm just noticing that that's happening and figuring out how do I operate within that. In fact, I actually would argue it's a tremendous opportunity for new and creative ways to approach the world. The other thing that's happened as a result of COVID for me, for example, is I'm on all these silly dating platforms. I think I'm on 5 of them right now. And
can you name them for us?
okay, Tinder, of course, everyone should be on Tinder. Tinder has been totally ineffective for me, by the way. I mean, I've had hundreds of matches and not a single date through Tinder.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm not sorry. It's just the reality. It hasn't worked for me, except I'm able to practice my interactions and my text game on Tinder. And
Gotcha.
I'm able to experiment and to see the results of that experiment, because even though I have not gotten a date through Tinder, I have a tremendous amount of data I've accumulated through being on Tinder. And so I really appreciate that. And I've also had, even though no dates, I've had some really good text exchanges on Tinder that have nothing to do with whether or not I'm dating this. I've had conversations about race, about economics, all kinds of other interesting things. And I actually am more interested in using these dating platforms as information gathering and also ways to socialize in other ways. So I'm not just confining this to dating. So Tinder is number 1. The second one is OkCupid. OkCupid, probably I've been on longer than any of the other ones. I have a very detailed profile on OkCupid. It's like a long story about, it's a kind of a meta narrative, and I get really interesting responses to my story on OkCupid, because most folks don't write as much as I do about their lives and what they're going through and all that kind of stuff. And I've actually had some good dates from OkCupid. None of them have really led to anything fantastic, but I've had some really interesting exchanges with people on OkCupid. I was on Match for a while. I found that to be totally dead. I hate Match. I don't know why anyone would be on Match, but that's just my opinion. I think it's both not detailed enough and also not really effective enough for hooking up. I'm on Coffee Meets Bagel and Hinge have actually been the most effective for me recently. And then I've been on Bumble for a while, and Bumble is how I met this woman I'm dating pretty regularly right now. And Bumble has also been good. And so my favorite ones right now are Bumble and Hinge. Hinge has been a godsend. What I love about Hinge is it gives you these prompts which kind of outline a start of a conversation. It's a way to start a conversation. And what's great about it is you can respond to people's prompts with these kind of, I would say, not standard responses, but customized responses that you can measure the effectiveness of them, because you have enough people that you can try them on. And
interesting.
So, and Hinge, because it has these prompts and these it actually even has standard prompt responses, which some people use. It has a sense of humor built into it, which is critical for me, because that's always the basis of how I operate with people, is from a sense of humor and playfulness. So Hinge has been really good. And then I think Bumble is good also, but Hinge is my new favorite. Coffee Meets Bagel is actually super serious. And I think if you were looking for a long-term relationship and that's what you wanted, and you wanted someone who went to grad school and had a good job and all that kind of stuff, Coffee Meets Bagel is really catering towards that.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of my out. And I think there's some new dating platforms which are not online yet, which are coming up, which are related to blockchain and other things, which I think is a really important innovation. And there are some folks, although I do think this is a niche which has not been filled, who are starting to talk about this idea of social circle being connected to dating, which I think is a really critical niche, which, if I was a software developer or an app developer, I would say, let's figure that out. Because I think if you can tie those two things together, social circle and dating, that would be a killer app.
I think there's something around that. I know Google gave it a try. Are you talking about our ideas here, or are you referring to something else?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Okay. We'll leave it at that.
I'm skeptical of Google and Facebook because I do not want those folks to have all my data.
No, you
So
don't.
I do think the standalone apps are, although they probably sell everything to Google and anyway, I do think there's something to be said for being guarded about, being eaten up by the Google and Facebook machines.
Yeah. We could get in a very long technical conversation and lose half our audience if we were to go down as you know, I work in tech. So your recommendations are really Hinge and Bumble, and I think
Yes.
those are good. I've been on all of them except for Coffee Meets Bagel. I'm not very interested in, and I'm apparently a bad person on Tinder now. The Tinder was really worked for me very well. I had a lot of great relationships, met a lot of great people through Tinder, and there's still connections and people I interact with to this day. But very funnily, I put up one of my pictures with the definition of slut by Dossie Eaton, which is very funny because she's actually she's kind of a queer kink sex educator, and I love her definition of slut. And they flagged me for that and kicked me off the platforms, which I just think is very funny. So there you have it. So that's a good recommendation. And
I would recommend anybody who's interested in the date. First of all, you have to be on the dating apps. You cannot live in today's world thinking that you're going to date or meet people without being on the dating apps. Because I'm telling you this because in my coaching group that I belong to, there are some guys who resist the dating apps. They're like, I just want to meet women in real life. Well, first of all, hello, and COVID ain't going to happen, baby. So. Yeah. Secondly, if you don't take advantage of the technology, and look, I would say I'm on some level I'm a technophobe. I've been dragged kicking and screaming into the 21st century, but I'm also a realist. If you do not engage with this stuff, you are missing out big time. And what's beautiful about the technology is you can hack it. All of the technology can be hacked. Real life is a little harder to hack.
Yeah. Well, what's great is when you can use the online and the real life. And I have a wonderful example of that, of a barista at my former coffee shop who I felt like there was definitely a thing there. She was probably, a good 20, 30 years younger than me. 30 years younger than me. But sure enough, thanks to the wonderful swipe of Tinder, there she was, and we both matched with each other, and the rest is history. And so that helped give me a confirmation point that she wasn't just flirting with this old guy, that we actually had a chemistry there. So that's kind of like the best example of how those two, the real life and the digital, can actually meet and work in your favor. Okay, so I think that's really that's two good points. Point number one is get out there in real life and start interacting with people, no matter what the conditions are, and dress to impress, right? Kind of up your game a little bit. I would say that's recommendation one.
I want to make 2 points about dressing. First of all, it's for yourself. Especially because I work at home now, I will get up in the morning sometimes and I'll just put on really cool clothes and make myself look good because it makes me feel better. Right. And it puts me in the mindset of I'm still conducting business. I'm not like in my pajamas all day long. I'm conducting business. I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
Secondly, when you will find when you go out into the world, because a lot of people are taking it really casual right now, you will stand out if you are dressed up. People will be attracted to you. And so why would you not do that once you saw that?
Right. Okay, so that's two good points. And then the second one is you need to get on those social media platforms.
Yeah, no, get on the dating apps. Hinge and Bumble work best for me, but it depends on your individual circumstances.
And I think you want to actually, you have a little bit of expertise on how to create those profiles. And so maybe you can impart your expertise to our audience.
Okay, so obviously there's two components to the basic components to the profile: your pictures and your profile. Women do pay attention to pictures, but they pay more attention to profiles, believe it or not. It's kind of, and men are backwards. Men don't pay any attention to profiles; they just look at the pictures.
Right.
I mean, again, this is not absolutely true, but it's mostly true. You have to have good pictures, and don't think you can just put your, high school yearbook picture on there, unless it's a great picture. By then, all means, put it on there. But and get matches. Even for guys, you have to have interesting pictures. You have to have interesting, attractive pictures. And you got to experiment. You got to see what works. Because women will like certain pictures. I have this one picture of myself in a pair of sunglasses. And I've been told by some people who know pretty well, oh, you never have a picture with sunglasses because it hides your eyes and women want to see your eyes. Well, I can tell you, my picture with sunglasses gets more hits than any other picture of mine. So it's because it's a good picture. I look like a James Bond cyborg in that picture, and that's just really appealing. Even though, Jim, you know me in real life. I mean, I'm not a bad-looking guy, but I don't look like James Bond cyborg. It's not a real picture of me on some level, but it's an attractive picture, and it intrigues women. So you have to have good pictures. That's number one. Number two, your profile has to set you apart from everybody else. You cannot have a profile that says something like, oh, I like walks on the beach, or, I love dogs, or whatever. I mean,
Here's me skiing. Here's me at this restaurant, right? Boring.
Yeah, exactly. I love to eat, whatever. You have to figure out a way to set yourself apart from other people. And that means saying typically slightly provocative and slightly funny things. I mean, not slightly funny, very funny things. And there's a lot of stuff online that you can crib, but I've found for myself, I actually like to make up shit myself. So you got to start to be creative. And if you do that, you'll start to get hits. Like, I'm convinced that what gets me hits on Hinge is not actually my pictures. I don't get that many hits on my pictures, but my responses and my own profile really are the things that get me hits, because I say funny, provocative things to women. And that interests them. They want to be around people who are funny and provocative.
Right. Well, that's all great advice. Before I forget here, Chris, I need to ask, where did you get your sunglasses? Since accessories is so important. Where'd you get your sunglasses? We all need to know now. Let's make them a sponsor while we're at it.
Yeah, I think, there's a couple of really good eyeglass sites on. I've used a lot of different ones, so I can't actually remember. Direct, maybe Eyeglasses Direct.
Okay.
So that might be the one I got the sunglasses on. They had really, it's actually hard to find mirrored sunglasses that are prescription. So they had good prices on those, because there's one I used to use called Zenni, which is a Chinese site. I think these glasses are from Zenni. They have really cheap glasses. Like, I think these glasses cost like $12 or something. They're good prescription glasses, but they do not have good mirrored sunglasses. I bought some mirrored sunglasses from them, and they sucked. So, I think it's iBuy Direct or Eyeglasses Direct. They had really good mirrored sunglasses, and those are great. Those again, what's interesting about the online world is you can find all of this stuff that in the old days you would have had to go down to the optometrist and pay $200 for a pair of glasses.
Right.
And nowadays you can find all this stuff that's made all over the world. Some of it is shit, obviously. You have to kind of call that out, but some of it is really good. And
right. I'm a Warby Parker guy myself right now, but I think I need to branch out a little bit.
They have super high quality stuff. It's a little expensive.
Yeah. Okay. Which is funny, because the pair of glasses I bought before these were 3 times as much as the Warby Parkers. So in my mind, they were cheap, but that's
right.
Okay, so we're kind of running up on time. We don't want to go over and bore everyone. But I want to see if there's one more point quickly we can make, because it's always good to have kind of leave people with three. So one is get out there, dress up, accessorize, and start engaging in your community. Secondly is to get your uh, dating app profile and your kind of game around that and engage and have fun. And have fun is overarching in both of these. And what do you think is the third piece of advice you could give people?
The third piece of advice is actually the hardest one to implement, and in some weird way, it's the most critical one. You need to find mentors. You need to find men who are doing the things you want to be doing, who have experience in it, and learn from them.
Right.
I think as we get older, we forget that we actually learned a lot of stuff from other people when we were younger. Right. And we, in some ways, hopefully we've become mentors ourselves, either as business people or as parents or whatever, and we forget we still need mentors. Yeah. And so I've been really fortunate in that I got involved in what's called the pickup community. I think now it's called the social or attraction community. That's a better name, and I think it's more about what I'm interested in, because I'm not really that interested in picking up women, to be honest with you. But I found two mentors there. The first you already know about is a guy named James Marshall, who has a company called The Natural Lifestyle.
He has an empire.
Yeah, he has an empire.
Small empire.
Right. Called The Natural Lifestyles, and he really made a big difference in my life, because his basic thing is be yourself, only amplify it, and get out there and just start talking to people, women especially, but everybody, and practice these kind of methods of attracting people to you. So he really got me started on that. But my new mentor, who's been a mentor actually almost for 10 months now, is a guy named Laurence, and he has a company called Modern Flirting, and he's really changed my life. Well, first of all, he's become actually a close friend of mine, even though we've never met, and he's so involved in his students. He's one of these people whose goal is to improve other people's lives, and not just men. He also has women students, and he works on all kinds of levels. And the reason I was attracted to him, as I told you, Jim, is he really gets into this idea of play, having fun, and being funny. And he's extremely funny. He understands how you create fun, and he's been a real game changer. So I would say that's the third thing you need to do. You need to find mentors.
Okay, I'm going to follow up on that with another question. Do they have to be men?
No.
Can women work? Or even in my case, I had a transgender mentor who unfortunately passed away.
No. In fact, you need to find mentors who are women as well. You can learn so much from women. Right. That's really critical. Don't confine. Again, this is one of the downfalls of what's called the pickup community. Is it got very focused on men, and obviously as men. We have compatibility and something in common with other men, but we actually need to understand women just as well, and transgender people and all of these other things. So no, they don't have to be just men. In fact, don't confine your mentors to just men. Yeah. Learn from women as well.
And they're and I think oftentimes I've gone with mentors that are older than me, but I believe your mentors are actually younger than you. Correct?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd love to find a mentor that's older than me, but I think there are very few men my age and older who have actually gotten into this stuff. Right. And the weird thing is, right now, Jared's company, Modern Flirting, has actually kind of promoted me. I'm now at a level in that company which I'm kind of feeling like, do I really deserve this? But his business model is partially to not only teach a man to fish, but teach a man how to teach other men to fish.
Right.
So I'm becoming a mentor myself.
There you go. And that's always, I mean, we both have experience,
Yes.
previously of nothing like really helping someone else out
Yes.
and kind of showing them the way of being of service. Okay, so that's I'm going to summarize these. One is again, dress up like you have, and next time we do this, I think you need to wear those sunglasses, and at least for a little bit. Dress up and accessorize, get out there and interact in your community and have fun and experiment. Secondly, work on your online, on your dating apps game. So Tinder and Hinge are, no, I'm sorry, not Tinder. Bumble and Hinge are Chris's recommendations, but there is, Tinder used to be good for me. That's out there too, and there are probably some other ones, and experiment around with them. Have a good profile, have good pictures, and then when you engage, have fun. And thirdly, find yourself a mentor. It could be a man, a woman, transgender. Don't worry about the pronouns, but find yourself a mentor, or ideally a couple of different mentors.
Yes.
Because I think, no one person has all the answers.
Yes.
And get out there, engage. So, yeah, with that, I think we're just about close enough to an hour, and that's all. We don't want to go overboard because that just becomes too much. So thanks for doing this, Chris. This is fun.
Oh, my pleasure, Jim. It's always a pleasure.
We'll see what kind of fun graphics. I'll play with my editing skills and see what we can do here. Okay.
I can't wait.
Bye-bye, people.
Bye, Jim.
What if there was a place, a virtual place, that you could access from your phone or laptop, which was like the coolest lounge or cafe you've ever been in, like your own private club, a 360-degree immersive environment with a super rockin' band, playing cool jazz and smoking R&B, with the coolest, friendliest hosts and mixologists, and all kinds of intriguing and interesting guests dropping by and sharing their vibes and exchanging amazing stories, where you could hook up with potential dates in a virtual social environment, or make new friends, or even business network. What if there were such a place? Now there is, thanks to our super cool futuristic technology, Shindig 66.